Well, that's all for Unplugged tonight, but right now we're going to unleash an extra awesome 120 minutes on MTV. Extra awesome because my co-host tonight is the one and only Iggy Pop. Iggy will be talking about his new album, Brick by Brick, some of the other 15 or so albums he's recorded, and how the scene has changed since he pioneered an early version of punk way back in the 60s. Iggy Pop and the best modern rock in the next 120 minutes on MTV. My co-host on 120 Minutes tonight is Mr. Iggy Pop.
Howdy.
And instead of counting down the college chart, Iggy, what are your top 3 records out now?
Okay, I like the new Cramps a lot. I think it's just got a real good life in it, and her guitar playing is terrific on this record.
Did you see them on tour this time around?
I haven't seen them yet, no, because I've been out doing stuff myself. I played a gig with them Halloween 1976 or 7 or something. They'd know. They'd remember.
That must have been a great lineup.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And the lyrics are good on this Cramps. And I haven't seen the video yet, but I hear that's good too.
Oh, it was lots of fun.
Yeah. And they took a lot. There's a great guy named Link Ray, and I think they get a lot out of him. And if there wasn't no Link Ray, there wouldn't have been a whole lot of things that happened. So I like them very much. It's just real down music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else do you like?
I like The Good Son a lot.
The Nick Cave record?
Cave, yeah. That's beautiful. Really, really beautiful songwriting. It's really, really good. And it's not, he's not trying to cop to any particular trend that's going on or anything. It's just, it really comes from there, and I really like listening to that. And I heard the new Sonic Youth Cool Thing. That sounds good. That sounds good. And I heard the album once. The album's called Goo. I just heard it once through, and it sounded like Sonic Youth to me. You know, it had the same. It's the first major label debut.
So everyone's going, will it be a sellout?
No, it sounds just the same to me.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, let's check out a video from the Cramps' new album, Stay Sick. We'll be back with more of Iggy Pop. We're spending 120 minutes with Iggy Pop. Iggy, you have a new album called Brick by Brick.
Yeah.
And who did you work with on this one?
Oh, God. Kate Pearson, John Hyatt, Waddy Wachtel, Charlie Drayton, Kenny Aronoff, the Wazettes, all the guys, Sweet Pea and Sir Harry and Donnie Ray that sing backup with Was Not Was and lead and all, backup on my record, Slash and Duff McKagan.
From Guns N' Roses?
Yeah. And
how did you hook up with those guys?
We played gigs together and sort of, you know, check each other out. And then me and Slash did a benefit with some other guys, Martin Chambers and some other guys, to buy books for kids right around Christmas. And so we play around, you know, like that.
How did you hook up with Don Was to produce the record?
He was at this, my record company, the new record company Virgin took me to a really fancy dinner, and me and Don were the only guys that were sort of dressed down, you know, and so I thought, well, I'll go talk to him, you know, this seems cool, and he was cool, so just kind of got to know each other. I liked him. That's the most important thing, really, you know.
And you have a new video called Home. Where did you shoot this one?
The streets of Los Angeles and in a giant shopping cart.
Okay, you want to check it out?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, this is Iggy Pop with Home. We're back with Iggy Pop on 120 Minutes. Iggy, you have a new album called Brick by Brick. Has the process of songwriting changed for you over the years?
Maybe a little, but basically it's still the same gear. I get some music going, and if it feels good and gets me either like in some sort of a mood or excited, you know, like whoa, 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 then generally some sort of words will suggest themselves. Maybe something I didn't even know was on my mind.
Back in those days, were you using songs as a way to get out
some of the emotions that you felt churning around inside yourself?
Well, I certainly use I write off guitar, and I certainly use the guitar and the musical experience as a way to get the feelings out. I think your deepest feelings don't really even need the words. And then with the words, it's more a sense of, I don't want to sing something that's hokey, so I try. It's sort of a process to try to sing about what you're really doing and something that's real and what's really on your mind. But it's not that easy. You kind of got to hunt for it, I think. That's what I find, anyway.
I'm going to carry on talking with Iggy. We'll be right back, and you guys watch this. My co-host on 120 Minutes tonight is Mr. Iggy Pop. Iggy, when and where did you first form the Stooges?
1967 in Detroit area of Michigan, a little town called Ann Arbor, and that's when and where.
And the first self-titled album came out 2 years later in '69.
'69, yeah.
And you followed that up a year later with Fun House. Do you ever listen to these old records, and when you do, what do you think?
I listen to them when the occasion arises, like if I'm going to learn one for some reason, or if somebody re-releases something like that, check the mastering and stuff. I like them a lot. I like them.
Do you ever think maybe hearing some of the punk stuff that came around in the late '70s, hey, I was doing this 10 years earlier?
No, I think that's been overplayed, really, because I think it was a whole different thing at that point. I think what was interesting about what we were doing, a lot of it was sonic. It was in what we were doing sonically, and the first album, I mean, it was put in a rock and roll format, but it drew a lot from jazz and from avant-garde music that I got exposed to hanging around a university campus in Ann Arbor. There's a lot of John Cage, Harry Partch kind of ideas on that, and a lot of Coltrane, in a way, just in a funny way. Even a lot of what they call world music now. They used to call it ethnic.
Well, when you re-emerged as a solo artist, you hooked up with David Bowie, and I want to ask you more about that period. Right now, here's a video from Blah, 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 an album you worked on with David Bowie. This is Cry for Love. We're back with Iggy Pop on 120 Minutes tonight. Now, after '82's Zombie Birdhouse, you took some time off. What were you doing then?
I had to reorganize the way I was living. Sort of all my sins caught up with me, basically, and
Sins
life,
meaning alcohol?
drinking and drugs. It's a real plague, that when it gets out of hand, it's a real mess. And so it had affected me to the point where it just wasn't any fun to be me. So I thought, this is ridiculous. Let's stop for a while. And I did, and kind of turned a corner at that point, and sort of came out a few years later just feeling a whole lot better in general about everything, you know.
And you came out with an album called Blah, Blah, Blah in '86.
Yeah.
With Mr. Bowie again.
Again, yeah. I started work on that with, me and Steve Jones we wrote a lot of stuff, and about 4 things that ended up on the record, and David heard what we were doing and liked it, and so he got on it, and we just sort of did it.
Had you been a fan of the Pistols?
Yeah, I thought it was a real good band. I thought they were a real good band, and I was a fan of Steve's playing.
A couple of years after that, in '88, you released Instinct, again with Steve Jones on the record.
Yeah.
But a new sound, quite a lot more metallic.
It was more, yeah, it was more, in a way, I might have been thinking of the Stooges again. I just wanted to do something pig-headed. You know what I mean? I just wanted to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That was what it was. So that's what we did. I thought there were some good songs on it.
Well, let's take a look at one of those songs, a video for one of those songs. Here's Iggy Pop with Cold Metal. Welcome back to 120 Minutes on MTV. Iggy Pop, you've been a professional musician for what, 25 years now?
Yeah, maybe longer. I got my union card when I was 14. So.
If you had to pick 3 of your favorite all-time records, what would they be?
Okay, one would be 12 by 5 by the Rolling Stones. That came out in the mid-60s, and it's just real basic R&B. There's hardly any echo on it. They do songs like Around and Around by Chuck Berry. They do it great. And it just sounds tough. The whole record sounds tough, and nothing sounds false in that record. Nothing sounds fat. That's what I really hate it when rock and roll starts to sound fat. I can't bear that.
And there's a lot of records that could use Weight Watchers, huh?
I reckon so.
What would be another one of your favorite all-time records?
Okay, John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. John Coltrane, this is also from the 60s. And he was kind of based out of here. I think he's from the Carolinas, here being New York. And he's a sax player. And bringing it all back home, Bob Dylan.
Okay.
And that's also from the same time period, middle of the 60s. It's got songs like Love Minus Zero, No Limit, and it's got a great song called It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding. And basically, the vocals and words are great, but also his guitar, what he's playing on guitar is unbelievable on that record. It casts a spell on you. You can't get out of it. It's just this mood, and it's very, very, very powerful. And that was one that really made me want to be a musician and do something like that, you know. It was just enchanting.
Okay, we're bringing Iggy Pop to your home tonight. Stay tuned. My co-host on 120 Minutes tonight is Iggy Pop. Now, Iggy, you're quite open about having abused drugs and alcohol in the past. Why do you think you got started on that road?
I don't know how open I am, really. It was around, basically. It's just everybody was doing it. It was practically advertised in the 60s, especially during the Summer of Love.
How difficult for you was it to get straight?
Quite difficult. I'm not AA or anything. You know, I'm just normal now, basically. You know, I mean, I'm straight now, Dave. You know, yeah, but you know, like, you know, I just go through the day and do my work and do what I have to do, and then at the end of the day, I relax like everybody else. But just normal perspective, basically. But there was a time that when I know a lot of people in what I do really felt that, you know, they had to be out there in this certain way to work. And when the two get mixed up, when it's like I can't do anything good unless I'm out there, you're headed for trouble. Yeah.
All right. I want to ask you about your acting career, and that's coming up in a few minutes. Right now, a brand new music fix here on 120 Minutes.
Hey, I'm Iggy Pop, and 120 Minutes will be right back.
Miracles happen. We got Iggy Pop on 120 Minutes tonight. Iggy, did you write Living on the Edge of the Night specifically for the Michael Douglas movie Black Rain?
No, I didn't write it. It was foisted on me. Basically,
you didn't specifically write it for anything?
No. I tried to. Ridley Scott directed the movie, and I tried to give him one of my songs, which I thought would be much better, and he didn't want that. And so then Don Was and I wrote a song. He didn't want that. So he called me from London one day and said, Mr. Pop, it's really important to establish the character of this movie, yada, yada, yada. You know, sing the song, all right? You know, sort of thing. And
you kowtowed?
Yeah, I kowtowed, man. Yeah, I did it, you know.
Now, you've had a movie role yourself. You were in the John Waters film, Cry Baby. And here it is right now.
To their parents' custody. But not you, Crybaby Walker. The only place you're going to sing is in jail.
Hey, Jeff, can we go back and look at that? Come on, rewind it. Let's have a look at Iggy, was this your acting debut?
It was the first role of any length.
It's one of the great camp movies, I think. Have you done anything since then?
Yeah, I did a film called Hardware out of, I think it's going to come out here soon, Richard Stanley, British, actually South African director based in London, did that. It's totally different than John's movie, and I'm a DJ in that. You don't see me, you just hear me. I'm just kind of an irritating disc jockey of the future.
Well, right. You're a busy man. You've got a brand new album out called Brick by Brick. Are you going out on tour in support of this?
Yeah, eventually, once it sounds good. And I'm going to start working, I got some friends that play, and so I'm going to start working with them sort of later this summer. So maybe fall, later in the year, yeah, something like that. I like to play, so.
Well, it's 1990, Iggy Pop. Do you still feel like a real wild child?
Well, I don't know. I sang the song. It sounded all right to me.
Thanks very much for coming by.
Sure.
Thanks very much to Iggy for co-hosting 120 Minutes tonight. And thanks very much to you for co-watching 120 Minutes tonight. If you want to co-drop us a line, the address is MTV's 120 Minutes, 1775 Broadway, New York, New York, 10019. We'll hang 120 again next Sunday night at 11:30 p.m.